Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa podcast. If you are new, subscribe, drop a like on this episode. Let's have a like target of 800. And I want you to comment your score in the comment section down below with what you would rate Aston Villa's transfer window out of 10. You can put comments or whatever in there as well. But we really want the score. So the transfer window has shut. And I'm exhausted from covering that. It's so tiring looking and scaring for the rumours. But yeah, so we've literally on this channel reacted to pretty much every single player that's been linked with Aston Villa. So hopefully you've enjoyed the content, you've enjoyed the rumours and looking at different players and a couple of the journeys we've been on, sort of rumours, links, them coming in, and now we get to watch them play for Aston Villa. So hopefully you've enjoyed that summer content. So the window has now shut. Aston Villa's business is done. And I'll give my score in a second, but we'll get on to the window as a whole and what we've been on, because we've been on a mad one. If you're start looking back at this window and start thinking about Almani, then you start thinking about Monchi and all that business that we had going on as well. So it's been Unai Emery's first proper window, I think. January was okay. I mean, he'd only been in the job, 3 months, and then we'd have got a transfer window. So there wasn't really time for him to get his core philosophy of players and who he wants. So, it's been exciting in that sense. But, you think of the players first and foremost in a window. But I think off field, we've done some really big things with appointing Monchi. We had the Almani drama saga, and then that led us on to Monchi. And I think Monchi's one of the biggest signings to come out of this window as well, because you're looking at what we've done so far, and there's been some really nice business. But Monchi's feet are just starting to get into Bodymore. They're starting to get into Villa, and he came in a little bit later, didn't he? So he too probably hasn't had his full amount of time to really adjust and get that plan going and get that scouting network going. So I imagine that's going to flourish, and I think we'll start to see the best out of Monchi next summer, the summer after that, because one of the biggest things for me that I said about Villa in windows is that we've always been craving for that next window. As soon as it shuts, we've always been, let's just get to January now. Who can we sign in January? And that's not really a good way to look at a recruitment plan. So I think we are going to start to see more of these recruitment plans and the vision and finding exactly what Unai wants. And I think the other thing that I'd like to say before we get into the players coming in is, for so long, all we've ever craved is a player to be the solution. And I don't think that's the case anymore with Villa. I think the tactics, the formation, the system, the manager, the recruitment, that's the plan. And when all of that comes together and works well, you don't just crave for X player to do all of the damage. You look at Villa at the minute and you've got Matty Cash popping up from here, there and everywhere, playing in right midfield. And I just think that even that's a stroke of genius now. So I think we've got to look at the squad collectively and think as a whole, we're really strong. And our manager is just so good at coaching. So, I don't think necessarily like X player or X player here or etc. is the answer, because I think as a whole, we're starting to be like a well-oiled machine. And I think once that starts churning out, and this is probably the early stage of it, once that starts motoring 2-3 years down the line, that's when you're going to start to see the benefits. Because I was speaking to someone the other day and I was like, Can't wait to get to November. And Unai Emery's been in the job a year. And that you look at those graphics of managers that have been in the job, and it goes like Pep, Klopp, then it's probably like Ten Hag. He's been in the job, what, a year and a half, or, etc. And then there's that middle bit, like virtually all the Premier League that have got managers that have been in a job 6 months, then they get sacked, 6 months, then they get sacked. I want to look at us and say, Unai Emery's been at Villa for 3 years, 4 years. Look what he's built in 3 and 4 years. So if we can have that vision, where will we be in 2, 3, 4 years' time? And I think that's like end goal. And if we get to that phase with Emery, recruitment-wise, player-wise, I can't tell you how good I think it's going to be, because I think it's going to be amazing. So, what is my rating? I am going to give this window a solid 8. I think it's been a very, very good window for Aston Villa. Very, very good. The quality that has been brought in has been impeccable. I think it's been amazing. I think we have been shadowed by 2 big injuries, which were a massive, massive blow about 3 weeks ago. And I think that probably affected the window with a couple of signings that we made. But before that, I would say it was probably like a 9 at that point. And then you would have wanted a couple more to make it a 10. So I'd say it's an 8, because I still think we are just a little short. And I'm not one of these that have been craving for this striker. I've been more craving for sort of like a number 10 / attacking midfielder. That's the one that I think we are just a little short on. So that's why I've gone an 8. I think the signing of Yuri Tielemans on a free was just brilliant, brilliant business. We've already seen how versatile he can be and how good he can be as a player in the squad. He's got so much to offer. Pau Torres, incredible signing. Absolutely incredible signing. I think we went out and set our stall and made him one of our first choice targets this window. And we was able to get him. We was able to convince him. We was able to get him to come from Villarreal, a club that he's been at all his life. Culture change, life change. So looking at, again, how we play, he's a massive, massive signing for how we play. Ball playing centre half. Look at his pass that he made for Duran the other night. Forward thinking, progressive passes, progressive carries. He's going to be an unbelievable signing for Aston Villa. Yes, he needs to probably still adapt. But for me, the biggest part of his game that he had to bring from La Liga to the Premier League was his passing ability. And he's been able to bring it. He's cool, calm, composed, reads the game well. So for me, he was a brilliant, brilliant signing. Moussa Diaby, again, another blockbuster signing. I think he's going to go down as one of the signings of the season. I think he's going to have an absolutely fantastic season. I think he's going to get more than 10 goals this season. And I think he's going to set the Premier League alight. He's an electric, pacey, forward-thinking player. He's clinical. He finishes his chances. And I think he's going to be an amazing signing for Aston Villa. And I think he, in an area of this side that we were lacking last season, is going to add so much to this side as well. So those 2 players are 2 biggest signings this season. And to note, the fees that we paid for those players, we'll get onto that in a second, is in this market incredible. Next, we've got Zaniolo on loan. Really like the look of this player. He looks physical, combative, energetic, plays with a smile on his face. He looks like he's got that technical ability as well. Just been called up to the Italian squad as well. Pau Torres has been called up to the Spanish squad. So I really like the look of Zaniolo on loan. Yes, we could potentially buy him at the end of it as well, but he's going to help out no end. I think he's going to add something that we currently don't have as well, which I think he's going to add, that physicality in there as well. That off-the-cuff nature, that unpredictability. And then the last one was Longley. And again, I really like this one. I think it adds defensive cover to Tyrone Mings. It enables us to go with those three centre-halves at the back with cover, with Chambers as well. So I think that adds defensive, and that was an intelligent signing, I think. Yes, you'll get people saying he was crap at Spurs, but doesn't Unai Emery improve players? Doesn't Unai Emery get the best out of every player? So that narrative of him being poor at Spurs just doesn't. I just think it's a load of rubbish. If that's the vibe, you're just looking for negatives. You're just looking for a negative. Unai Emery improves players. He adds squad depth. He's coming from Barca. He's won the Nations League with France. He's not coming here to play every single game. He's coming to help the squad out and be cover. So I'm not sure what people expect when they just get really negative about a signing like Longley coming. He's not coming to take Pau Torres' place. He's coming to add depth to the squad. So with that in mind, with the ins, and this is just what we are reading from The Athletic and BBC with these numbers. So they aren't probably the definitive number, but I've tried to look at where I can get the numbers from because Villa have them all as undisclosed. So with that being said, the ins come up to Pau Torres, 31.5. I imagine there's add-ons as well. Moussa Diaby, 34.6. Loan for Zaniolo, loan for Longley. Will be paying the majority of their wages. And a free transfer, so there'll be a signing on fee for Tielemans on a free. And that adds up to me to 66.1 million. Now, that outlay on those ins of Diaby and Pau for 66.1 to what they bring to our squad, the impact that they will have on our squad is tremendous business. Now, when we go to the outs, I'm going to just give you the outs fee, right? So I'll give you the outs and then we'll get into it. So the outs sold was 37 million. So in 66.1, out 37. That has a net spend of 29.1 million, plus the loans and the loan fees and the Tielemans. So, outs. Cameron Archer, 18 million. Ramsey, 12. Philogene, 5. Davis, 2. Coutinho, pending. The Qatar window is still open until the middle of September. Looks like he's going. Emery was saying he looks like he's going. Ravan loan, Kessler loan, and some other loans in there. So what's these outs enabled us to do? Now, they are all academy graduates. They all leave in FFP terms for pure profit. 18, 21, 18, 12, 5, 2. That's £37 million pure profit that goes against an FFP. Emery spoke in this window about Villa being intelligent, and I think that's what we've been. A couple of them for me have got glorified loans. And when I say glorified loans, Archer, Ramsey, Philogene, they've all left for a fee. They've all left for money. But if they're good enough, and if Ramsey smashes it at Burnley and sets it alight, potentially we buy him back. Archer's apparently is if they get relegated, we buy him back. So I think we buy him back for about 20-something, which would then mean we've bought him for 7. So what the Archer one enables us to do, if that is true, that we buy him back for around 20-something, then we'd sign him for 7, is that the here and now on the spreadsheet of 2023, we have £37 million of pure profit coming in, and that will help negate FFP. Now, I'm not saying we are in FFP problems, but you still have to be mindful. You still have to spend within your means. Look at United, they're in FFP problems. Wolves, FFP problems. So I think we've boxed clever and done deals to enable us to, for the here and now to be okay, for the future to be okay, and to enable us in windows to come to still go about our business in the right way. You look at that sort of net spend of 29 million, you're thinking it's not a lot. It's not a lot. I expected us to spend a bit more in this window, but the bottom line is, if Unai Emery doesn't see fit for players to come in good enough, he's not going to sign them. We saw that in January when we let Danny Ings go and we didn't bring in anyone. We didn't bring a player in. We've got a manager who, and this is very strange in football to have a manager like this, who cares about the club, cares about the money, cares about the fans. First thing he ever mentions is the fans. And I think he really embraces what he's got to do. And I think that's why he's going to be here for so many years, because he's happy to he's happy to work with the plan. And I think that's a great thing. How many managers go out there and will have that car boot scramble on deadline day? Like, look at Forest. Like, Forest scrambling around on deadline day, selling Brennan Johnson, and it's chaotic. Absolutely chaotic. And that is far from where we are. We are far from that chaotic nature. So I'm just really happy that it feels chilled, it feels settled, it feels like that there is a plan. I know we will get some fans that are saying we shouldn't be selling our youth players, we should be keeping them, etc. But you don't just have an academy to bring players through into your first team. You've got to use all of the tools necessary to make a club profitable. And that shows what we are doing with this model, what we've done this summer. And if Emery thought Archer was good enough to play this season, then he would still be here. If Ramsey was going to play games this season, he would still be here. But the fact of the matter is, our managers looked at them and thought, no, they need to play football elsewhere. What can we do? Short term, long term. So I think that's really good, clever, savvy business from Villa. You look at Duran, that game against Everton. Duran came on before Archer. Look at Duran now. I mean, he's like a rough diamond, but his last two Villa home games, he scored 2 goals. So his development so far, getting minutes, he's looking really, really good. So I think it's been a clever, intelligent, savvy window from Villa. And I think the ins are good, the outs are good. But I also think we're using the academy well. And if there is a player who is absolutely fantastic and like a Ramsey, like a Grealish, i.e. hopefully Kellyman, then there will be an opportunity for them to play. But how many youngsters come through? We had that purple patch with the under-18s where they all won stuff. And I'm not sure whether everyone thought that they would all come in and play for Villa in the future. But there's only ever 1 or 2 that ever will make it from that academy year group. So, yes, we're boxing clever. I think Kellyman looks like he's going to be sticking around. So he'll be staying for the European campaign. He will be in and out. His development is going to be good. So if you're looking for youth and academy players that you want to come through, you've got Kellyman still here. Feeney still here. Irabunan still here. Duran, how old's Duran? Duran's only a young kid. I don't know whether we forget that Duran's still a young kid as well. So, so I think with the academy, we are going to start to use it to make some money. And I think the other last final point on the window is look how many Aston Villa first teamers have left this window. 0. None. So that in itself is very, very telling of how we've gone about our business as well to make some money. We've made 37 million and not one first teamer has had to leave. So there we go. So, right, next phase of this episode, we are going to have a look at squad depth. So the image is quite chaotic, right? It's quite chaotic. So we're just going to have a little look then. I think I've got everyone on here at our squad depth. So we'll start with keepers. We've got Martinez and Olsen. And we've got a youth goalkeeper as well. So I think that area is pretty good. Left-hand side, left back, we've got Luca Dean and Moreno. 2 players. Perfect. Left-sided centre-halves, we've got Pau Torres, Feeney and Longley. I think that's very strong as well. So we've got 2 players on that left-hand side on a match day squad in Longley and Pau. Right centre halves, we've got Carlos and we've got Konsa, and you could also move Konsa to that area there. So I think Konsa can be moved into that middle section. So Konsa cover for centre back, well not cover, but plays centre half, and then plays on that right back position. So right backs, we've got Cash, Chambers, and Konsa. And what I mean by when we were saying about right backs coming in, we've signed centre halves. So the shape of our back line is 3 centre halves. But then we've also got the option if we want to go with Cash or Chambers. And the shape shifts so Luke Dean goes forward or Moreno on that side. If it's vice versa, if it's Cash, then you've got some centre halves, etc. So I think the back line is pretty stacked. In the end, I don't think we really needed a right back because we've got Konsa that plays in this system there now as well. Central midfield is looking pretty stacked. I think that's one of our strongest areas. So we've got Louise, and then we've got Tielemans, we've got Kamara, and we've got Dendonka. And then we've got Irabunen, who has stayed as well. So I think Emery really likes Irabunen, but he's injured. So we've got plenty of options in that central area there as well. Currently, how we are playing, with McGinn on the left, we've got McGinn and Ramsey in that area. So, I imagine when Ramsey's back, McGinn might move over onto his side. So I think that area looks pretty good. On the opposite side, we've got Diaby, who completes the box midfield with Zaniolo and Kellyman. So Kellyman, hopefully he's going to be in and out of the matchday squads. Hopefully he's going to be sort of in the European games. We've got Zaniolo, we've got Diaby. You got Diaby that could play there, up top. Diaby can play out wide. So he's quite versatile on where he gets to play. Out wide, we've got Bailey and we've got Traore. Traore stayed. He hasn't gone out on loan. So I think Emery might like Traore. So we've got Traore that's still here when he's not injured. And then up top, we've got Watkins and Duran. So it's pretty stacked, especially in those 2 areas, the Ramsey role and the McGinn role, because there's only one of you can only play 2 of them. So, if it had to mean that Diaby would then go out wide for a game, McGinn would go in that area, you've then got Ramsey and McGinn, etc. But for me, I would have just liked another player to be in and around that area. I just think we could have done with just one more, maybe. But we've got to go with what we got. So, Villa fans, what are your thoughts on that depth? I think it's pretty good, especially on the system and how we play on it and how Emery wants to play games. The depth's not that bad. Yes, you'd probably say if we're a Watkins injury away from going with Duran. But, you know, there's options there with Diaby as well and Zaniolo up top as well. So I think we could potentially, maybe if we did get an injury, go with like a false nine. I think that might work as well. But that's our depth. That's what we've got until January. But I think it's okay, and I'm going to go with a solid 8 rating for this window. So, Villa fans, let me know your thoughts on the window as a whole. Drop your scores in the comment section down below. It's been great covering the window. Very, very tiring. But there we go. But yeah, so cheers, everyone. Up the Villa.